Hey, here I am out in the woods, and I'm having lots of people getting in touch with me about why are there so many people in the world that do bad things, evil things and such like. Do they have a soul? And it's quite a difficult subject to take in a quick little video like this. But according to the Gurdjieff work, everybody is born with a kernel of a soul, a little bit of a soul, and we have to develop it as we grow. And maybe some people don't develop it. In fact, I know lots of people don't develop it. And so that soul, I'm pretty sure, is linked to your conscience. And people that have a very teeny-weeny little kernel of a soul or no soul development don't listen to their conscience. And conscience is a very important part of how we go about in this world, how we treat things, animals. As Gurdjieff says, test yourself out on animals and plants first with love and kindness and how you treat them, and then put it onto people. A bit like the Alcoholic Anonymous, they have the old test of when you're going through an Alcoholic Anonymous regime, the training to get you back off the alcohol and to become the person you really should be is to get a plant or a fish or something and look after that for a while and see if you can care for it. But do all people that do evil things not have a soul? Well, I have another theory as well, which is to do with the Edgar Cayce teachings, where he talks about two types of humanity. There are the sons and daughters of the One, and the sons and daughters of Belial, Belial, or Belial, some people say, Belial. And it was the sons of Belial that caused all the chaos in Atlantis times and caused the destruction of Atlantis with its bad technologies and the misuse of animals and creatures. In the Atlantean times, the sons and daughters of Belial wanted to treat all the lesser castes of humanity. There were humans that were half animal, half human, chthonic kind of creatures, and the sons and daughters of Belial treated them like slaves, whereas the sons and daughters of the One, the God people, said, no, we must free these people because they are people and treat them humanely. And this war started between them, and I will do a show on that more later on. But what I found interesting was that I'm very into the Dead Sea Scrolls, and I've been reading various translations of them, and I'd never read the Giza Vimes one, and I started reading that yesterday, and on the first page of the translations it talks about the sons of Belial, which kind of stunned me, because the Dead Sea Scrolls were written, we're not sure who by. They were found in the caves at the Dead Sea, and some people say they were written by the Essenes. We don't know. Anyway, they're saying in these readings, and these were discovered after Edgar Cayce gave his readings. So Edgar Cayce hadn't read these and then thought, oh, I'll use that as in my readings. They were discovered long after he died, or maybe not long after he died, but they weren't translated and released to the public until the mid-20th century, so there's no way he could have read them. But these Dead Sea Scrolls say about how there's two types of people. People of the God and sons and daughters of Belial. But they also say that it's half the population of the planet was sons and daughters of God, and half the population of the planet was sons and daughters of Belial. And there, again, the sons and daughters of Belial have no conscience as such. They would, what I would call, the dark side of humanity, and the sons and daughters of God would have a conscience and possibly have a soul, and are the more good, thinking about the planet and the people and animals and treating everyone equal, and everything's born from the Creator. So I thought this was quite interesting. And I wonder if that continues today. How would that stop? How would that have ended? Would the sons and daughters of Belial being wiped out? No, they haven't been. They're still walking amongst us all. And hopefully people like yourselves that are watching this show, you've all got a soul, and you're all a son or a daughter of the one, of the God, of the divine source, and not the sons and daughters of evil Belial. B-E-L-I-A-L. Some people call it Belial anyway. Something to think about. I'll do more in the future. Adios. Stay awake, don't be controlled, save your soul is my usual mission for this shows that I've been doing. I wanted to talk about Steiner, to add to my idea, the questions that I was being asked about the soul. And I have put up the books in audio form on YouTube where he discusses all this, or talks about all this, about what the dark forces are going to do. Steiner talks about Lucifer and Ahriman are here to disconnect us from our divine source. And I'm sure they've got many minions on this planet. And some say, or Steiner says about the Ape Sphere. The Ape Sphere is a realm that Lucifer and Ahriman have created that are going to put all those people that aren't connected with their souls, that should return to the divine when they die. Instead, they're going to be taken to this Ape Sphere and be trapped in there with no chance of ever returning to the divine, apparently. I'd like to think there's always a way out. So, how do they do this? Through deceit, through treacherous ways, but they will come like a con man, pretending they're offering us the world. And we take that deal, and instead we lose everything. According to Steiner, our souls are in our ether body, our etheric body. And he warns us, and this is back in the early 1900s, that there will be a vaccine made that will disconnect us from our etheric body, disconnect us from our soul. And I know people say, oh, I'll never lose my soul. I've heard people talking about how, if you're going to lose your soul through a vaccine, it's because you're not connected enough to it. Well, if it's connected to another body and they can disconnect it somehow with some drug or whatever, and you've got to remember Lucifer and Ahriman are very clever, and they work through the people that are in charge, it could possibly be done. I hear reports of people, healers and mediums, or well, maybe not mediums, but healers who have been working on people who've since had the vaccination, and that their energy bodies are different. And some have said that there's some kind of darkness over them. A bit worrying. But Steiner said all this back in the early 1900s. He said we had 100 years to do all this, and that in 100 years' time, which is the teens of the 20s, was the time that the spiritual warriors, peace warriors need to stand up and be ready. Those that understand, that can see what's going on. And to be able to see what's going on, we have to have a soul, we have to have a conscience, and we have to have, understood the training that Gurdjieff, Steiner, Blavatsky even is quite anti-vaccine. She says it in her book somewhere. I wish I could remember the quotes. I think it's in Isis Unveiled. I shall find that for you. We have to be careful. Some of you might have already had your vaccine. It's okay, it's not the end of the world. Hopefully you still have your soul. But it's obviously a personal choice whether you have it or not. But I want you to follow your conscience if you can. Stay awake, don't be controlled, and save your soul is the important thing. Because the dark forces' mission is to disconnect us from our divine source. And as I was saying, they're devious, they find ways. So, continue to be the light warrior you want to be, the spiritual warrior you want to be, and let's go forward with love and light, but also an awakening. It's going to be dark times. It has been dark times these last year and a half, and it could continue for a while yet. What we need is a waking up of common sense, though common sense isn't very common, and of conscience. And many people are doing a lot of what's going on are just following the narrative because of emotional blackmail, or because they can't think for themselves. Awful thing to say. They just do what their leaders tell them, and we need to think about what's happening for our souls. You know, I pray for all those that have been vaccinated that they still have their soul. I really do hope that they have, and I pray for all of us, everyone. You know, prayer is an important thing to do. But Lucifer and Ahriman, dark forces, will try their best to get our souls trapped, because then they will win the war. And we don't want them to win the war. We want to be part of the divine, hopefully, and go on up to the next stage and be the, you know, the true soul that we're meant to be, blossoming out into the butterfly it's meant to be. So everybody, stay awake, don't be controlled, and save your soul. Peace and out. And until next time, take care everybody. I'd like to hear what you all have to think about what I've said. Could be controversial, who knows. But love to the world, to all the animals, the plants, the fishes, the birds, the insects, every creature that walks this planet, swims this planet, flies through this planet. So how do we save our souls? Well, we find the Christ consciousness, the Buddha consciousness, the Krishna consciousness, the leaders, the teachers that were there for us in the Piscean age that came and told us what we need to know, what we need to do. And we need to bring that consciousness into our hearts. We've got to think with our hearts, feel with our hearts. You know, the devil comes through the dark forces of the mind, and the divine source and the wise ancient teaching comes through the heart. Love conquers all, I suppose. Though I'm also one of those that believes that will also is very important. We need to develop our wills so that we can do this. We can't sit back and just think that love's going to work. We need to spread the love. We need to send out the love. And, you know, whether we meditate or do practices that send out love and light to the world, all very good. Excellent work to be doing. We need to mean it. We need to understand what Krishna, Christ, Buddha, and the other great teachers came to tell us. Listen to our old teachers. They know, they are wise. That's why they were there. That's why their teachings and their writings carry on into this century. May your God go with you.